We are seeing a wave of urbanization in several parts of the world, especially in Africa, which is taking place at a huge rates, but without industrialization. We know more or less how to deal the process of urbanization with is coupled, go with industrialization. But we don't have many tools in order to address the huge issue of urbanization without industrialization. The problem that the migrations that we are seeing now to most of the cities, it represents unemployment, and especially youth unemployment. The city has an opportunity, because in the city we can have a lot of economical activities, and we are seeing that they are there, even some or most of them informal. And by the way, the recognition of this informality is one of the processes which can help to initiate this process of upgrading of the city. There are two lines of action. One line is slum upgrading. There's a process by which, through participation of the community and dialogue with the people living in the slum, we can generate a process of self-improvement in the slum, through mainly opening the public spaces, the streets, and getting some kind of urban order inside the slum. And the people defend very well, and they appropriate this process, and that becomes a very strong force of improvement. And the other approach, which should be in parallel in order to address the issue, is to plan enlargements of the city, new enlargements of the city. We know that some of those cities are going to double their size in 15 years. Then there's no excuse. It should be a policy to understand this challenge that they are going to face. When we look at the successful cities all around the world, we have seen that they have had in some moment of history this capacity of seeing a future, of having this vision. And now in some countries there's no decentralization of power, there's no allocation of power to the city level, to the mayors, and they have very few resources, and then some kind of reinforcement or creation in some cases even of local authority, the concept of local authority, it's very important. We are used in the developed world about local authorities. We have lived always with local authorities. We understand what they are and what they do. But in several parts of the world, this concept is still not seen, it's not appreciated.
Informal city is growing. So one of the things that our international network does is it demonstrates some things that poor people can do better than professionals or the city managers. And that is to produce a communication network amongst the poor, collect information about them, create networks there so that they can discuss what their priorities are and present them to government. Now, you know that municipalities and international development, you can't have one slum coming to you and talking. I come and talk to you, then somebody else. But if say all the slums of Nairobi form 2 or 3 major groups and they come and talk to the municipality, it's much easier. Then it's a discussion. That's why the government likes to work with private sector. They know what they want, they come and tell you what they have resources for, and they negotiate. So poor people, what can poor people do? They can bring collaboration, they can bring more effective ways of making investments, and they can maintain those assets that are created. One of the biggest crises in development is maybe international assistance can produce the asset, but who's going to maintain it? Who's going to make sure that it works? Because if you look at the big problem in development today, lots of taps have been put, but they have not been maintained. We want to be treated as citizens, so that the governance structures, the way in which the municipality deals with all the neighborhoods should come to us too. And so slowly but surely, as more and more communities began to demonstrate that, the possibility of having that engagement with the city is beginning to happen.
If you take data from the World Bank, 1 to 2% of the urban poor survives by working in waste. So it's very important, to take into consideration the contribution the informal waste workers give to the environment, and it gives to public services, because by collecting waste and recyclables in the cities, they are in some way helping the municipality to keep the cities clean. At the local level, we can do a lot, and the government, the state, has a responsibility towards integration of informal workers. We cannot consider that modernization of solid waste is something that it's only related to technical issues, to engineering aspects. If you take the example of my own city in Belo Horizonte, we implemented a municipal recycling system that it's based on source separation of recyclables, coupled with the inclusion of cooperatives of the informal recyclers. So we have a proper partnership. We have agreements, formal agreements with the cooperatives in the cities, and we provide basic infrastructure for the cooperatives, such as recycling sheds where they can sort their recyclables. We also provide some recycling containers which are scattered around the city, so that the citizens can segregate their recyclables at home, take to these recycling containers, and the municipality collects these containers, these recyclables, and take the recyclables to the cooperatives. So we have also developed a lot of capacity building courses to enhance the ability of these informal recyclers to be good, efficient service providers in recycling. So taking into consideration informal workers means that municipalities have to formally acknowledge that their work is important, and also devise programs that integrate the informal workers into the solid waste management system.
Je pense que le parc est un moteur. C'est un quartier dans lequel personne ne voulait aller. Nous avons fait le pari d'y faire quelque chose de tout à fait curieux, la création d'un parc. Et nous avons démontré qu'à partir de la création de ce parc, nous pouvons attirer les services publics, nous pouvons montrer qu'il est possible d'avoir de la sécurité dans ce quartier, qu'il est possible de faire des choses avec les gens et non pas pour eux sans eux, ce qui se fait d'habitude. Nous avons toutes sortes d'espaces de discussion qui sont centrés dans le parc. Les gens ont pris l'habitude de venir dans ce parc pour discuter de toutes sortes de thématiques citoyennes. Ils sont aussi amenés à venir dans le parc pour suivre des formations en secourisme, en aide à comprendre comment on va chercher, comment on fait ses papiers sans se faire arnaquer, etc. Assistance légale, enfin il y a vraiment toutes sortes de services qui sont fournis sur demande. Et c'est un espace où on peut en toute sécurité venir suivre une formation ou venir discuter. Il y a 55 emplois permanents dans le parc et il y en aura certainement d'autres puisque nous développons au fur et à mesure d'autres services comme celui de construire un centre culturel. La construction va commencer cette année et il y aura non seulement des emplois pour la construction mais ensuite des emplois pour faire fonctionner ce centre.